Greetings and welcome to Phantom's Edge. This will be Chapter 1 of this reading. The sound of a gentle tune is what it was. It came from a jewelry box, only when one opened it. The tune played as two lovers ran through the night. They ran as far as they could, but could run no more once reaching the edge, the place where it all began. They stopped to glance upon the beautifully clear, shining sky, holding one another's hand gracefully. They turned and smiled, gazing affectionately into each other's eyes. Then, as they motioned for a sensual kiss, one's life was taken from the other. The man, unable to hold on, fell over and plummeted into the unforgiving sea. His hand stretched out for his love as she cried out and reached for him as well. No longer of this world, the man's vision faded to black, as his life was stripped from the only thing he ever cared for. And thus, the gentle tune of a jewelry box was the tragic sound of one's own heart breaking. "Cheers!" people shouted, clanging their glass mugs over their heads before taking a gulp. In a world with similar aspects of the early 18th century, the pussy parlor on Kukala was packed for the night, with the great relief that the bureaucracy of Philae had signed a peace treaty with the Civil Union. The two countries' 3-year war finally came to an end. Throughout the many isles of Atrosha, there lived 9 different races. Avifaun, who have bird-like qualities and are wise within life's great mysteries. Kanai, the dog-like group of either wild and fierce or well-behaved creatures. Servi, who are of deer quality and are mild in manners, but sometimes very clever and cunning. Lapor, rabbit-like people who are strong and skilled, while also highly knowledgeable. Felina, cat people that are nimble and quick, deceitful on occasions, and can be quite persuasive at times. Mustel, sneaky and swift weasel people, who usually hate all others outside their own race. Hume, the nearly hairless creatures of the world that have a well-balanced field of all attributes. Racione, most consisting of raccoon people that are best at concealing themselves, be it day or night, and even with hardly anything to hide in. And last are the Rodenia, rodent-like people who are very easily adaptable to their environment. Amongst most of the races, there became 5 forms of government that are now in law of each isle. The newly reformed bureaucracy of Philae, home for all types of creatures, resided as a large continent in the western region of the world. They live to one day reunite all the countries and bring total peace, freedom, and equal rights amongst everyone. The monarchy society of Mongolma, northeast of Philae, was a mild continent for the Lapor Empire. They are of great power but wish not to use it. They find their settlement well worth keeping and wish not to stand amongst the other races they feel beneath them. They will not fight to control, but will defend what rightfully belongs to them in their region. So far, no one has been able to even scratch the walls of their enormous palace, placed high upon a large and active volcano that has not erupted in a century. The totalitarianism party of the Mustel group, which resides directly east of Philae, past Mongolma, long for domination over the world. They hold the largest continent called Amarek, filled with every resource known to all kind, and have the largest military anyone has ever seen. Most speculate that they will use it to take control, but there has been nothing of the sort so far. The democratic unions of the Avifaun are northeast past the Mustels, the Felinas southeast of them, Kanai's northwest of Philae, and Hume's southwest. Each group on a mild island of their own, with no cares but to trade and venture as they please. Finally, the Anarchy Society of Heterek, where both the Rodenia and the Persionis reside, in the very center between the totalitarians and the bureaucracy. 2 races lived on a slightly large isle, the land split in 2 territories by the groups. Unfortunately, out of them all, The Rodenia and the Persione were the only two races that were being treated lower than the rest, some becoming slaves to any who chooses. However, some were so talented that they were able to become equal citizens in the eyes of the Bureau military, converting them into soldiers. The island of Kukala, ruled by the bureaucracy, lives south of Mongoma in between Philae and Amarek. It is a very small island that has its uses, being a halfway point for either travelers or merchants that don't want to deal with Heterek or monarchy. Yet with recent rumors, the bureaucracy has been speculating that the island has become a hotspot for pirates. However, they have no actual evidence to prove it so. They also can't run the risk of breaking their recent treaty with the citizens, seeing as most actually hate the bureaucracy, so they couldn't do any random investigations or interrogations. As soldiers of the Bureau sat and spoke tales of their great time, Falinas who owned and ran the pub handed out complimentary refreshments for the joyous occasion. Using the upper level rooms, some even gave private pleasure to calm their customers' weary bodies. One handsome Kanai coyote, however, cared not for the celebration around him. He sat alone at his table, with no food or drink, nor even the attention of any felina that worked the area. He only stared down at a small open box, brown, with golden markings around its edges and no bigger than one's own fist. Along with that, there was a silver necklace inside with a 2-inch big onyx stone and a 1/2-inch diamond in the center attached to it. Man was a pirate, but was able to sit amongst the soldier crowd undetected, seeing as they were all completely drunk. At the time, the Falinas knew of him and did not wish to turn him in, because he was a great and loyal friend to their boss and pub owner. Most of the pirate's clothing was black, with brown boots and gloves. He also had a fancy rapier sword and a saber sword hung on the left side of his waist, while a cutlass hung at his right and slightly towards his back. Hidden by his blank expression, the Kanai's saddened eyes gazed upon the box's beauty, and his ears only heard the ghostly sound of its gentle tune. When the tune ended, his mind tracked back into the real world while he reached for the box with his right hand. He put the item away in his pocket, then stood as he readied to walk out the door. Not here, he thought, letting the door shut behind him as he motioned for the docks. However, the door swung open once more as a feminine felina hung herself halfway out and said, "Later, Kyle. Please come again." "Will do, loves." At the docks, the bureaucracy had set up guards at each main point, while others went around and surveyed the ships. Kaio walked up to one of the guards, who raised his hand out as a means to halt him. "Sorry, sir," the seaman apprentice said. "Docks are closed to the public till further notice." "What for?" The soldier lowered his hand and replied, "The commander's orders. Don't worry, we'll handle everything with care. We're simply checking for any illegal cargo, anything between stolen treasure and slaves, to see if any pirates are amongst the town's people." Kyle glanced over at his ship to his right, then turned back to ask, "What about the one at the far end?" The soldier glanced over at the ship specified, then turned back and replied, "Unchecked. Crew is halfway through the others and will be reaching that one soon." "Why not check it now?" The soldier glanced down, pondering for a minute, then looked back up and said, "Guess I can give it a quick glance. If anything becomes suspicious to me, I'm informing my superior, and you will be detained if not arrested. Got it?" As the seaman apprentice turned away to head for the ship, Kaio followed as he gave a sinister smirk and thought, "Sure thing." The two Kanais stepped aboard the large vessel. Then the sound of a sword being unsheathed was heard by the bureau soldier. Before he could turn to defend himself, Kaio swung his saber across and out from his right side with his right hand, slicing the soldier's throat. He then lowered his weapon as he went to inform his crew to move the ship out of the docks. "Damn yellow jackets," he said as he entered the crew's quarters. Then called out, Men, we're shoving off. The crew quickly assembled to the deck and went right to work getting the ship out at sea, unhinging the sails faster than any normal pirate crew. As they did, the Bureau soldiers in the area caught wind of the situation and began trying to halt the pirates by any means. Fortunately, nothing they had was anywhere good enough to so much as scratch the hull of the ship or damage its sails, even hit one of the crew members. With that, they had no choice but to painfully watch as the pirate vessel sailed away. As a means to insult the bureaucracy more, Kaio went to the stern of his ship and shouted, "So long, lads. Today's the unfortunate day that you will not catch the notorious pirate, Captain Kaio. Tally-ho!" He then put his sword away, only to use his right hand to wave at the guards until he knew his image to the Bureau was no more. Sci-Fi Commander Johnson motioned over to a group of seamen and yelled, "Why aren't you going after him?" One of the men glanced over and said, "Sir, his ship's crew was too fast to set sail. We couldn't catch them even if there was absolutely nothing holding our ships down." Johnson glanced back up at the pirate ship, then turned to head for the pussy parlor to inform his superior. He barged into one of the private rooms and called out, "Captain Hyton!" Two Violinas, one male and one female, sprang up from the bed in surprise as the male angrily barked, "Commander, this better be important." "We have a problem, sir. Captain Kaio was here. He just escaped and—" "Escaped? How dare you barge in here saying that the most wanted pirate in all of Poseidon's Sea has just escaped?" Drifting through the night, with a calm ocean breeze and gentle waves along the sea, Kaio's ship went to embark to Philae. Enemy territory as it was, he had to be there. He needed to do something, to try one more time. Lying on his bed, looking out his stained glass window, was a small candle lit on the sill next to the box he had. He listened to the gentle tune it played when opened. He thought of someone special, someone he once had over 7 years ago. As the tune came to its end, he blew out the candle and closed his eyes to rest his soul. And with the final note, the pirate then too drifted off, dreaming of his one and only beautiful love. This concludes Chapter 1 of Phantom's Edge. Thank you all for watching and listening. If you like what you saw and heard, be sure to check out Lore of the Endowment or Ryu the Demon Slayer, which are 2 novels that I have created. Link will be in the description below. Other than that, stay safe, take care, and we'll see you in the next chapter.